color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade. It's been called the World Series of short track stock car racing, the Super Bowl, the richest of them all, the hardest race to win. And all those labels fit. The TNN All-American 400. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and the grandstands here at Nashville Motor Raceway are packed with people from all over the country. In fact, as far away as Canada, because this is the annual war between three different sanctioning bodies. All Pro from down south, the ASA Cars, American Speed Association from the Midwest, and the American Canadian Tour Stars from the Northeast and Canada. So there's tremendous regional pride at stake here, along with well over $100,000. To find out more about the cars and the drivers we'll see today on the grid is Brock Yates.
I'll tell you what, Steve, it's going to be a wild afternoon. Grandstands full of folks. Behind me, 40 of the finest short track stock cars in the world and a bunch of the very, very best drivers. On the pole in this brand new Chevrolet Illumina, number 12, from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Steve Burgess, in a fine performance in qualifying. And Steve, you got to feel good about leading this big field around here on this base lap.
I sure do. It's an important race, and we feel fortunate to be here on the pole.
Steve, you got a couple of at least 2 pit stops. You got a lot of strategy involved. Are you going to try to pace yourself? Are you going to just try to play the rabbit and let them chase you?
Well, we're going to try to play the rabbit and let them chase us, but the important lap is at the end. That's when we want to lead.
Well, we sure wish you luck. Steve Burgess, starting on the pole here today, starting on the outside of the front row, the Winston Cup veteran and the beautiful number 98 Ford Thunderbird from Chatsworth, Georgia, Jody Ridley. Let's go down to my pal, the number 3 member of our broadcast team, a guy who has run maybe 3 times as quick as these automobiles will go, but only in a straight line, Big Daddy Don Garlitz. Don?
Thanks, Brock. From Dorr, Michigan, qualifying in the number 3 spot, driving his Bluebird, Bob Seneker. They sometimes refer to Bob as the sneaker in the pits because you're liable to look out the back window and he'll be sneaking up on you to win one of these races. The next car is driven by the exciting young driver Rick Crawford. Now, we watched Rick last week start from the back of the field and win one of the qualifying races to qualify him number 4. Now, Rick, it's going to be a lot different today, starting way up here in the front than in the back last week, wouldn't you say?
Yes, sir, it is. We got 400 laps to run today, and last week it was just, a 50-lap race, and we were starting from the back. We wanted to get comfortable in the field. Well, when the race started, we let the race go about 20 laps and tried picking the cars off one at a time, and the longer we got in the race, the closer we got to the front. So there, 30 laps into the race, we said, well, we're going to try to win this thing, and so that's what happened. We won, and finally we start in second row outside for the 400, and hopefully we'll have a good run today. But strategies change. Long race, we'll try to let the track come to us in the race, and if we can win it, we're going to try.
Well, we wish you the best there, Rick, and hope you do well.
Really appreciate it.
Okay, Brock, back to you.
Well, Don, starting 5th is the veteran from Oakville, Ontario, a man who is as tough as they come on the short tracks, Junior Hanley. And Junior, we saw you run real strong here last year, your first time ever in Nashville. You got to feel good about your chances today.
Well, the car's working a lot better than it did last year, and the motor's running really good. We got a different motor builder now, and the motor's really accepted them.
So you got some hitters around you. You're going to have to work hard today. Have you got a strategy worked out? Or are you just going to play the yellows and hope you get some good shots at tire changes?
Well, we're going to run the car, just see how it feels, and we want to keep the tires under the car. So if we can run up front easy, we will, and if we can't, we will have to run in the back.
Well, we'll be watching you. All
Thank
the best. Junior Hanley, always a great competitor. And beside him, the number 81 car from Detroit, Michigan, Harold Fair, also a very strong competitor in the ASA ranks, and a man we're going to be watching all afternoon. And now, let's go back to Steve.
Inside row number 4, defending 400 champion Butch Miller. He has an opportunity to become the first man to ever win this big event back-to-back years. That's a Camaro that's entered as Illumina. Don't ask.
outside of row number 4, next to Butch Miller, one of the Racing Wallace family from St. Louis, Missouri, Kenny Wallace, the younger brother of Rusty Wallace, the man who's already made a great name for himself in stock car racing, both here in ASA and in Winston Cup.
And another young driver that an awful lot of fans expect great things from is the man in the number 53 car from Green Bay, Wisconsin, representing the American Speed Association. That is Scott Hansen.
On the outside of row 5, from right here in Franklin, Tennessee, one of the great local favorites, fine young driver, coming back from a bad crash earlier this year, Mike Alexander.
The ASA is also grabbed inside of row number 6 in the person of this driver in car number 90. That is Kent Stopper, Elyria, Ohio.
And starting on the outside row 6, a man who ran in ASA for years now, transferred south to run with the All-Pros out of North Miami Beach, Florida, Bobby Dotter.
And Dotter was a fellow who came in his qualifier from way back to finish fourth, so he's got a lot of muscle and a lot of skill. Final preparations being made, seat belts attached, helmets strapped on, radios connected and tested. In just a moment, the combatants in the TNN All-American 400 will take to this 5/8 mile oval in Nashville. We're back at Nashville Motor Raceway. You're looking at the man who will sit on the pole in his car number 12. That is Steve Burgess. Over 40 competitors just now pulling out from their diagonal parking places to start the first of several pace laps. Now, all of these cars are really fundamentally the same as far as the thought process that goes into not only the chassis but the engines. Well, that is with one major exception, and that's the car we were just talking about that rolled out to lead this field, Steve Burgess in car number 12. It is a radical departure earlier. Brock Yates had a look at it.
This number 12 Lumina of Steve Burgess, which sits on the pole, looks a lot like most of the other race cars in the field externally. And, of course, it carries a 9-to-1 compression ratio, Chevrolet V6. That's pretty common. But believe me, that's where the similarity ends. Notice here that this engine plate links the engine as a stressed member of the chassis. That makes the chassis much more rigid. You see how this plate links the two front suspension components. Those are coilover with A-arms, pretty conventional stuff. But this plate makes this race car much more rigid chassis-wise than the competitors. Also, look at how Burgess and Bemster have laid the radiator down and using an electric fan as opposed to one that's up on front of the engine pulley. That reduces the center of gravity and reduces the frontal area as well, once again aiding handling. Now, these guys, this car built in DeLand, Florida, has also got a very advanced rear suspension, much like the Winston Cup cars. Very tricky stuff. So while the car probably doesn't have a whole lot more horsepower than everybody else, its superior handling has been responsible for putting it on a pole.
It also has an information gathering system, i.e. a computer that they got from Drag Racer Joe Amato on board to analyze all of those various things. And here is a gorgeous shot of Burgess in the silver car and Jody Ridley in the blue car. They are pumped up. You can bet on it, Brock.
Oh, boy. Rick Crawford and Bob Seneca, they won the qualifying races last week, 250 lappers to put them up in the second row. And behind them, just a whole bunch of fine short track drivers from, as you said earlier, 3 associations, basically spanning every state east of the Mississippi and a little bit west of the Mississippi in some cases. But these are classic all-American short track automobiles. And the guys have done a super job to put them all together from the 3 associations and make the rules relatively equal.
That's right. You've got low compression V8, you've got low compression V6s with the lighter weight automobile, you got high compression V6s, and strangely enough, there's an equality there. It works.
It really does. All the cars, give or take, about 50 or 75 pounds, about 2,700 pounds. Put the driver and 22 gallons of fuel on board. You get about a 3,000-pound race car with about 550, maybe 600 horsepower. So they're very, very good race cars. All fiberglass bodies, tubular steel chassis, of course, and independent front suspension, solid rear axles. Great, strong, tough race cars. Campaign all over the United States on short tracks like this. This is a big track, 5/8 of a mile. I think the pace car is going to roll off, and Burgess and Jody Ridley are going to bring them down for the start, Steve.
Look at this tremendous shot from the pace car as we roll with the field of the TNN All-American 400. And it appears to be a very clean start. No tangles whatsoever, and already on to the backstretch. Our leader is Jody Ridley in the blue Ford Thunderbird.
All right, there's Ridley, and up. Oh, big trouble on the back straightaway. coming off turn number 2, a giant tangle, and one car finally rides up over the top of another. That is car 74, John Wilson, an ASA driver, but the whole racetrack out coming off turn 2 is littered with race cars.
Oh, this was an incredible chain reaction accident. No sooner had I said it looked like a good, clean green start. I guess I should have knocked on something. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, they have not thrown the red flag, Steve. There's apparently a little bit of a hole in the racetrack, so the caution is out, and some of the cars are getting restarted now. But overall, we got a bunch of littered, busted up race cars, mostly down on the inside. There's a view from the rear of the pace car, right on the left there, Jody Ridley. Here is the litter on the back straightaway, and there goes Junior Hanley through it. Steve, let's take another look at how this started.
Watch 7 red and white and 9 orange and white to the left of your screen. They both rammed the cars in front of them.
What a crash. There's a 0 car. Tom Jones right in the middle of it, but it's number 7, Gary Samet, number 56, Darrell Brown, number 9, Dennis Lapham. They get into it with number 16, David Green, and everybody piles down to the inside. So we've got a bunch of damaged race cars, and as you can see, when this is almost about completed, there comes John Wilson, number 74. He ought to get a 10-yard penalty for piling on, Steve.
Well, that was kind of a county fair stunt show, a Chipwood special there. You know, and Ted Musgrave is in the pits trying to get things put back together again. These cars are all fiberglass bodied, so these accidents sometimes look like there's a lot more damage than there really is. In fact, the organization are doing a tremendous job. Look at this. They have almost completely cleared this racetrack. There was never a red flag. Dennis Lampman, number 9, who started in the 26th position, is not going to restart this race. He took a hit on every corner, I think. But this is amazing, Brock. They're not that far away from going green again.
Nope, there's some fiberglass and some little bits and pieces of metal to be cleaned up. But overall, I think we've only lost 2 or 3 cars. There's the 07 car of Kevin LePage. He's in the pits. They're going to have to tear away a bunch of body work, and I think the front suspension's hurt a little bit. But overall, we're going to have ourselves a race here. We're still under caution, so stick around. There's less than a lap underway at the TNN All-American 400.
Well, the fans here at Nashville Motor Raceway didn't have to wait very long for some action in the TNN All-American 400. A huge crash occurred on the very first lap. It's all cleaned up. Back now in front on a yellow flag lap is Jody Ridley. Rick Crawford had moved up quickly. Harold Ferris, Steve Burgess, Junior Hanley. He escaped that fray, as did Bob Seneca and the fellas you see here that fill out the top 10. So only 3 cars officially were lost from a chain reaction accident.
All right, we're ready to go green again. We'll see if we can get another lap in. Here comes Ridley off turn number 4. He will lead them down to open up the second lap of competition here. Rick Crawford, who's run so strong during the earlier qualifying races last week, is right up there on Ridley's bumper.
I talked earlier about all the regional pride at stake here. Well, the all-pro guys from down here in the south right now are running 1 and 2, and look at Crawford on the inside of Jody Ridley, already going for the lead.
Rick Crawford showing great power and potential here. Slides underneath Jody Ridley as they go around turns 1 and 2 to move out to about a 5-car length lead. Boy, what power he's showing early in the going. And look at Junior Hanley in that white 72. He's going to try Harold Fair on the outside, and he's right up on the bumper of Jody Ridley. So Junior Hanley also making a move here early in the going.
And it is Junior Hanley in the white 72 car that has the line. However, in the qualifying races last week, we saw that the Blue Thunderbird of Jody Ridley could run in the middle of the racetrack very competitively. Now, there is Harold Fair, as you said, Brock, also challenging Ridley for that 3rd spot.
Well, this is a very early stage of the race as we go down to the pits. That's the 07 car, Kevin LePage. Remember, saw him earlier. A lot of bent iron on the front suspension of that car. I don't know whether he's going to be able to get back into the race or not.
Well, let's take one more look at the train wreck that may have sidelined that car. It's a wonder it didn't get about a dozen of them, Brock.
Here it comes off turn number 2, opening lap. And right here we see just a mass melee happening right there. There are the cars sliding to a halt, most of them down on the inside. Kevin LePage, one of the very few drivers, unbelievably, not able to restart. So we had very few casualties, which is a testimony to the ruggedness and the real strength of these race cars. Obviously, nobody hurt, but miraculously, very few cars badly damaged either.
That was just an incredible accident. I have never seen anything quite like it, I don't think, in short track stock car racing. And seldom will you see a battle any better than the one we've got going right now for the lead. Rick Crawford and Junior Hanley.
All right, from outside Toronto, Ontario, Junior Hanley. From way down south in Dixie, Rick Crawford, two of the best short track drivers in the business going at it. And Rick gets nailed by Junior Hanley coming off turn number 2. So Rick came out of the second row to take the lead from Jody Ridley, and then Junior Hanley comes up from the 4th row to blow by everybody. So Junior now showing some real horsepower, and look at this, Harold Fair's gotten by Jody as well.
And the battle is for Ridley's 4th position. The blue 98 Thunderbird in 4th. Behind him is the 84 car of Bob Seneker. Then the pole sitter Steve Burgess, Kenny Wallace. Any one of them has the potential to win this thing overall. The temptation here, Brock, is to maybe race too hard at the start of this event. It's 400 laps.
Well, that's exactly what Jody Ridley is not doing. Jody's a crafty old professional. He's going to let this race settle down before he starts to make his move. So all those Jody Ridley fans out there, don't worry, because he's sitting back there in 4th place. He's given up a couple of spots. Oh, 24. That's Clifford Allison up against the wall in turn number 1. Apparently is okay. The car continues to run. Looks like he bent up some body work and probably will head for the pits. But he started way in the back. That is the youngest son of the great driver Bobby Allison, and of course the younger brother of Davey Allison, just getting a start in professional racing. And I'm afraid it's not a very auspicious one for him here today. He got a little bunt there and sent Clifford up against the fence in turn number 1, surely damaging the right side of that automobile. So I'm sure we'll see a whole lot more of this young man in the years to come, but not much more of him today.
That was the 46 car of Bill Zardo that got into the side of Clifford Allison. Junior Hanley hangs on, the Canadian, followed by the Southerner Rick Crawford, the Midwesterner Harold Fair, a Southerner Jody Ridley, another Midwesterner Bob Seneker, same thing for Kenny Wallace. And that's why I guess motorhomes surrounding this entire facility bear all kinds of different license plates. Their fans have followed them to the biggest short track race of the year. You know, pit stops are going to be a big part of this event before it's all over. And earlier, Brock Yates looked at a new device that should help pull them off.
One of the long-standing traditions in stock car racing is that you run stock wheels with stock lug nuts. Unlike an Indy car or Formula One car where you have a big spline center section, these guys have to run stock lug nuts. And, of course, you don't want to, during a pit stop, to have to mount up each one of the lug nuts like you might do with a flat tire on the side of the highway. So over the years, the guys have worked with weather stripping and gasket material to pre-mount the lug nuts on the studs so that when the wheel goes on, they're already in position. But Russ Erlin out of London, Ontario, has come up with an even better idea. He's got himself, his lug nuts are spring-loaded so that when the wheel goes on, these things are already in position. They'll spin both ways so that as soon as the impact wrench goes on, they're in position, ready to go. Good idea.
Indeed it is. So good that Junior Hanley of the ACT also has those installed. You're right, Brock. They've always glued them on or plastied them on. I've always wondered why they didn't break. Well, they did break off occasionally. Somebody's going to make some money on that little deal.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. As the pace car rolls off down pit road, and we've got a restart here. We're back underway on green. Junior Hanley on the point. Drives them down into turn number 1 with Rick Crawford right on his rear bumper. Here they come. Harold Fair, number 81 in the 3rd spot. Right behind him, Jody Ridley. And look at these two guys go at it, Steve. Junior Hanley, one of the coolest race drivers I've ever run into. Rick Crawford, a very emotional young man. He drives real hard. Two great contrasting pairs of drivers.
You know, if you watched our qualifiers last week for this race, you're not surprised at all to see the 72 car and the 14 car up front, because they had to start at the back of their heats and battled up front even under that handicap. So as I said before, there is really no surprise here that these guys are up leading. Jody Ridley back there with the blue Thunderbird. He's settled in, as Brock said. He's going to kind of let these guys go out and run their shock absorbers and their tires right off those cars before he makes his move. And there may be a little concern among Steve Burgess fans as to the pole sitter, because he is also also slipped way back into the field. Brock Yates is down in the pits right now to talk to his crew chief and see if, well, there is a problem with that automobile or he's just pacing it. Brock?
Steve, I'm with Bill Benchmister, who's the co-owner of the Burgess car, and he seemed to be falling back a little bit. Are you just trying to pace the at this early stage of the race, or are you going to try to move it up a little bit?
Absolutely. We're just staying right with the leaders, just holding our own. We're waiting to go 400 laps. That's what we're looking for.
Good. Okay, there's the story. He's apparently running just fine, Steve, despite the fact that he's falling back a little bit.
All right, well, they're showing their battle plan, and that is to not, as we talked about, get too over-anxious at the start of this race. In fact, there's a race for fourth. That is Bob Seneca in fourth, and if you count back to find Burgess, well, the 12 car is in the 8th position right now.
But not that far back. You got to stay in the lead lap, obviously, in a race like this, Steve. But you can fall back 5, 6, 7, 8 places because we've got at least 4 or 5 pit stops coming up in the course of this competition. Whenever a yellow comes out after, say, 30 or 40 laps, the guys are going to come in. Now, remember now, in the rules of this race say you can only change 2 tires on each stop. So that makes some tactical decisions that have to be made, but you can surely count on the right side tires going down first, and certainly in the early stages of the race.
We've got a smoker up there, Brock. That is Rick Crawford, the 14 car. Some smoke coming out of that machine as we saw it in turn number 1. Now, oh, there it is again. Now, you will remember he lost his power steering unit in the qualifiers last week. Maybe this is a similar problem.
It's possible, but that's an awful lot of smoke coming out of there. I don't know whether they're going to stop him for consultation. They did that, remember, last week, and he returned to win the race. But right now, he's got to be disappointed and very concerned. There's a bunch of smoke coming out of that second-place automobile. As he continues to charge here in TNN All-American 400. We'll be back with more action from Nashville.
Back at Nashville, the caution is out because of that number 14 car. When we left it was smoking badly. Well, the caution came out and they pointed right at him with a flag and said, "Get in here, boy, and let's have a look at that car. It's smoking just like it did a week ago." Don Garlits is in the pits to find out why.
Well, this is Rick Crawford. He's got a lot of smoke coming out from under those wheel wells. He's got a fire in there, a small fire. I see the flames. They got to get that put out real quick. Guy standing by with a fire extinguisher. Some sort of an oil leak dripping down on the header pipes. Seems to be all right. The crew is putting the hood back on the car. They're talking to the driver. They think it's a power steering. Now that'll make it awful tough on this driver to go this whole race without power steering. The official wants to have another look. They have shut off the engine.
All right, tough break for Rick Crawford, but here comes the leaders. The entire leading field coming in for a pit stop. The first man in, Junior Hanley. Let's see how this crew goes to work. The right side tire is going to be changed. There goes Butch Miller. There's Harold Fair. Everybody taking around right side rubber, of course, topping off the fuel tanks as well. 22-gallon NASCAR fuel cells on all these automobiles. Junior Hanley, good quick stop, Steve.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. You know, these cars don't make all that many pit stops during the course of the year. They run a lot of very short races, and they can still be an adventure. The 81 car, there's Harold Fair getting out. Butch Miller got held up a little bit trying to exit the pits and finally makes it happen.
Yeah, bad stop for Butch. Slowed him up a lot. In fact, I think that's dropped him back to about 12th spot. So Butch Miller loses some time. Junior Hanley came in, as we see there. He started 6th, jumped right into the lead. I mean, just charged to the front and now holds the lead after an excellent stop.
And here we get a look at one of those right side tires, and it looks to be in pretty good shape, Brock. There's no blistering going on there. What you'd expect from one of these rather hard spec tires. Everybody has to run the same compound Goodyears.
Well, they're checking the stagger on that one. That will be a good indication that Junior's getting excellent tire wear. Now, remember, too, 2. This is a hot, hot day. Probably in the mid-80s. There's Butch Miller, as I said, fell back to 12th place. Not on the racetrack, but in the pit stop. And, of course, that's as critical as running quickly out here. Another example, Bob Seneker in the 84 car, Steve, had a terrible pit stop, got jammed onto the pits, and has fallen way, way back. He was up among the leaders at the start, but once again, bad pit work or tough break in the pits penalized him.
Well, there again, though, they did all stay on the same lap. And in short track racing, if you could do that, you're always in the hunt to win one of these things. If you get a lap down, well, you better be awfully good.
All right, the 58 car of Darrell Brown, which did not stop, leads him down through turns 1 and 2, but you can be sure that with fresh rubber on board, Junior Hanley's going to be hard to handle. There's the 72 automobile weaving his way through the field and heading back toward the front.
And running in the second position, the red and white car, number 40 of Bruce Vanderland. Now, he did not pit, much like the leader Brown, so how long they can stay up there remains to be seen. It's doubtful at least. And also Ted Musgrave in there, he is a lap down because of some damage in that crash on the first lap.
So as everybody kind of sorts themselves out here, this always happens in this kind of racing, that when you have a lot of pit stops, it kind of confuses sometimes the folks in the grandstand. Also, sometimes it confuses scorers as well, because you get some cars that stop and some cars that don't. And there you see Junior Hanley, who did stop, made a great stop, and with fresh rubber on board, is bound to move through these slower automobiles.
Well, there is Junior making a perfect pass on Bruce Vanderline. That will put him back in second position.
There's a certain inevitability about all this, Steve, as we watch the field kind of sort itself out here after that pit stop. As we watch Junior Hanley, you can almost call him the leader, even though he's really not. For all intents and purposes, he is, because he's made a pit stop, and Darrell Brown is not. So Brown is just running on worn-out rubber, and it's sooner or later he's going to have to make that stop. He's also going to have to get some fuel on board that thing as well. As we watch him move ahead here, Junior Hanley at the current moment is really leading this race. Right behind him is Bobby Dotter in the white number 6.
Well, he's officially the leader as he drove around the 58 car. And look at this, starting to feel racy in that blue Thunderbird number 98 is Jody Ridley. He has got the 6th place down, and Butch Miller coming right through with him. So is Harold Fair.
Well, there you see that white number 52 of Butch Miller right behind the blue 98 of Jody Ridley. Those two guys definitely going to be players in this. As you said, also that black 81 of Harold Fair right behind them. So Jody in 6th, Butch Miller back in 7th. And look at this, Miller now challenging Jody as they come off turn number 2, and he noses in underneath them down into turn 3.
You know, you get the feeling that maybe back there, just like the 52 car and the 98 car, that they're kind of testing each other. I wonder how much power he's got. I need to know that later on. I wonder how his car is handling high. A lot goes into this short track stuff.
Absolutely, and of course they will fool around with tire stagger and chassis setup during the course of the pit stops, and so sometimes it's deceiving. Now right now Jody appears to be able to run high, as does Butch, but the racetrack conditions could change, the tire compounds could change, the setup could change, so he may not be able to do that later in the race. But right now these two guys are pretty evenly matched. Miller seems to like to run this racetrack in the low group. It's bumpy down in there. Jody seems to be able to stay up high above the bumps, especially coming off turn 4.
Yeah, but Jody's car's a little loose up high now, and Butch Miller in the 52 car is down underneath him. It's not if this racetrack will change, it's just when, and it may be happening right now. And in the pit area again is the 14 car of Rick Crawford. They had sent it out, but apparently it still has problems.
Oh, that's a tough break. He did so well last week to win the 50-lap qualifier. Had power steering problems last week, and now apparently, according to Don Garlitz, that power steering problem still exists.
All right, the 52 car, Butch Miller, who is the defending champion of this race, has moved into that 4th position. Miller is on the prowl.
Definitely so. That Chevrolet Lumina-bodied automobile, he comes right up behind Bobby Dotter in the white number 6.
Butch Miller, just a master tactician, obviously a very brave driver. Look at this, on the inside of Bobby Dotter. Miller's car is handling better than Bobby Dotter's. It'll stick down low.
Oh, there he is. He's got the good line through turn 1, and he takes over the 3rd position. Up ahead of him is the white number 3 of Kenny Wallace. Let's see what happens with Butch Miller as he moves through the field here at Nashville.
While we were away, Butch Miller, the 52 car, just kept on trucking. He's in the second position. Here is the battle for third. The number 3 car of Kenny Wallace, the number 6 car of Bobby Dotter.
Great action here as you watch the TNN All-American 400 unfold at the Nashville Motor Raceway. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans and our pal Big Daddy Don Garlitz, the great drag racing champion, getting his first look at this kind of wild short track action, Steve.
And he's having as much fun as anybody out here, and who wouldn't look at this battle for that third position?
Well, look at Bobby Dotter's car. The right front fender's gone. I don't know whether that was because of a tangle with Kenny Wallace. Kenny's car looks okay, but look at the bodywork. It's just slowly shredding off that thing. It looks like it got a case of leprosy. That's right.
Don't worry about operating. It'll fall off by itself. Actually, it was Dotter who came up and gave the 3-car Kenny Wallace a bit of a kiss and ended up on the losing end of it. But aerodynamics aren't a big factor here, other than the rear spoiler on the automobile.
That's right. And they worried about a quarter of an inch in the tech inspection, but I don't think that's got a whole lot to do with it either. As we take a look at Steve Burgess back there in 6 spot. Remember, he started on the pole, Steve, and his crew told me, and they continue to tell me, he's okay. They're just going to cruise for a while.
You know, something bad's happened to Harold Fair in the 81 car. He has gotten himself a lap down, and to unlap himself, he's going to have to catch up and get around Junior Hanley. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates in Harold Faird's pits. Brock?
I'm with Harold Fair Jr., and Dad seems to be bleeding a little bit. Harold, what's going on out there? What's he telling you?
Tires are really greasing up on him right now. We're looking for a yellow to come in and put some fresh ones on.
Okay, well, you maybe work that out on the next stop, huh?
What's that?
Try to work it out on the next stop.
Yeah, fresh tires will fix it right up.
Okay, go get him. Okay.
Well, I hope you're right, Harold Fair Jr., because when you get a lap down on the short track, it can be tough. And look at this. One of the best of them all, Bob Seneca, has tagged the wall in the 84 car. And that may tell us that this track, as it traditionally does at this stage of the race on a hot day, starts to get slick in the turns. Let's have another look at it now. Here on the right-hand side of your screen, up near the wall, just before it says Nashville there, is Seneca, and he had no help whatsoever getting into that wall. Brock, he did it all by himself.
Well, I've got to believe maybe something broke on Seneca's car. Maybe a tire went down on him or suspension speed froze, because he just didn't spin. He just kind of shoved it up against the wall. Here come the leaders. We've got a pit stop while they clear away Seneca's automobile. That's Junior Hanley's crew, the 72 car Illumina out of Canada. Look at these guys go to work.
Well, you know, they may not have a fancy bunch of uniforms like Butch Miller's crew does here, but Junior Hanley so far has quick time in the pits.
Oh,
look at those guys go to work. They've got tires, they've cleaned the windshield, and they're out of there again. Brilliant. And also, Butch Miller, the 52 car, is down off the jets. He had a much better pit stop than he did earlier, but the shocker here was the number 66 car. Glenn Allen Jr., his crew did such a good job. He has beaten Junior Hanley out of the pits. Outstanding effort there. And Brock, what do you say? We've got the radio here. Let's see if we can reach Butch Miller on the phone.
Okay.
Butch Miller, Brock Yates, Diamond Pink. Go ahead, Brock. Okay, we're just about halfway in this little rascal. How are things looking for you out there? I think that stop was a little bit better. You know, things are looking okay. It's still a ways to go. And, you know, I'd like to say I haven't shown all my cards, but I've been running as fast as I can.
Brock, I hate to interrupt you, but we've got some more action unexpected down on pit road. Junior Hanley, who had been the leader, has brought the 72 car back into the pits for a consultation. Ooh, this is not good news. It appears that the hood is coming up on that car. There's something, well, maybe not.
No, Steve, these hit the kill switch. They just gave the signal, turn it off. Unfortunately, a really tough turn of events. The crew chief there turning away in disgust as this automobile, which was so strong, the strongest obviously in the race up to now, Junior Hanley, the AC2 driver from Oakville, Ontario, pushed into the pits. He is out of it for the day.
And in this packed field now, when we do again go green, it'll be the 12 car, that silver machine that started on the pole, Steve Burgess, back up front, where he feels he belongs.
By the way, Steve, that car has no power steering. They built it. It's a very sophisticated automobile. As I told you earlier, he doesn't need power steering. So he'll be in good shape if handling is just the key here.
All right, here is the restart. And it is Burgess, officially the leader. That is the second car in your picture, the beautiful silver car. That's the man who earned the pole and is now back up front. Smart driving so far from that man.
The yellow and blue automobile, the number 1 car. Right behind him is Jay Sauter, another ASA driver, the son of Jim Sauter, a former Winston Cup driver and also ASA star. He sits back there. Let's see whether he can move in on this very sophisticated all-silver automobile, that 12 car of Burgess.
Okay, so that is the fight for the lead. It is Burgess and Sauter, 1 and 2. Right now, let's go to Don Garlitz and see what he has found out about the Bob Seneker incident. You recall that Seneker hit the wall pretty hard.
It's a tough break, Bob. What do you think happened out there?
Well, after that pit stop, it wouldn't turn. Like we didn't have enough split in it. It kept getting a little worse, and I think finally the right front tire must have blown or something. It just went straight to fence.
Picked up a little debris or something in that right front.
Yeah, that, and we were overworking it quite a bit too because it wouldn't turn to start with, so I'm not sure what happened.
No right front tire, you're out of business, right?
You got to turn on these left-hand tracks.
Okay, sorry.
Well, a man the quality of Bob Seneker doesn't hit the wall all by himself, Brock. You were absolutely right. Something did go wrong, and that something was a tire.
Well, Steve, an interesting turn of events, though, right now, as we watch Bobby Dodder still running up there with that 3/4 bodied automobile. But we've lost Seneker, Junior Hanley, and Rick Crawford has fallen away back because of his problems. So major players already out of this race.
And another one possibly falling back is Glenn Allen Jr. after that brilliant pit stop. The 66 car having trouble holding on to 6th position. And there is Jody Ridley again on the move right beside Glenn Allen Jr. and now puts him away.
I'm Brock Yates, along with Steve Evans and Big Daddy Don Garland, back at the TNN All-American 400 in Nashville, Tennessee, where we watched the blue and yellow number 1 of Jay Sauter battle it out with the number 12 car, Steve Burgess, as Jody Ridley, who's been in it all afternoon, has fallen back to 6th just because of pit stops, but you can count on him moving up, as well as Harold Farrer also started up near the front. So pit stops have mixed things up a little bit, Steve, but as we heard somebody say a couple of days ago, the cream will rise to the surface.
And we heard the Canadian fans groan when their hero Junior Hanley in the 72 car went out. Don Garlitz is right now with Junior.
Junior, the car looks all right. What happened? A mechanical failure of some sort?
When we went to go to the pits, the clutch smoked up. No clutch.
You just felt it rev up.
Just getting off the jack, it's hard to get off there, and it's aluminum flywheel, and once you slip it once, it just goes up in smoke. So I went out on the track, it was just slipping, so I pulled off.
What a shame. You were leading right out there, just running good fight. You were running away from the number 2 car.
I never run the car hard all day, and it was really working good. I could run real high, and the rest of them couldn't run up there, I don't think.
I noticed that. You were passing high.
Yeah, well, I was staying up there because it's easier on the tires.
Well, too bad. We're sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting, the contrast. Junior says he never ran his car hard all day. We talked to Butch Miller. Oh, and look, in the wall is the leader. The 12 car, the high-tech machine of Steve Burgess is in the wall, and he's out of it.
Up against the fence, and very similar. It looks like the same, almost the same kind of crash that Bob Seneker had, Steve.
It sure does. It was unassisted.
Absolutely. Up against the fence. This is in turn number 4. I'm sure that there you see the car scraping along the outside fence, just tearing the right side of that automobile apart. There's no question that he's going to get restarted. That car is a wreck. Big, tough break for Steve Burgess, as he was, as you said earlier, in the lead, sat back for a while. There is a very disappointed bunch of guys in his crew. They can see the automobile up there in turn number 4, so they're going to pack it in. Pretty philosophical, apparently. They're reckoning that it's over for their man. They know, but tough break.
And the first driver to take advantage of this yellow is the man in the number 1 Ford Thunderbird. That is Jay Sauter. A very quick, good stop for him. And Harold Fair also is in the pit area, the 81 car. And in all of this, Butch Miller in car number 52 has taken the lead, the man who could win it back-to-back years. Brock, it's time to give him a ring on the horn.
Right, Steve, let me try.
Hey, Butch, it's Brock Yates, Diamond B. Go ahead, Brock. Oh, suddenly the plot thickens. Your adversaries have stepped out of the picture. You got to feel a little better about that. Yeah, you know, in some ways I do, in some ways I don't. You know, I like racing, and I'd rather be racing than just watch him pull off to the side. You know, just before Junior went out of this race, our car was handling extremely well, and he was just driving away from me like I was standing still. Okay, my man, now you didn't stop that last time. You're going to try, you're gambling on another yellow here pretty quick, huh? Well, we're going to have to stop at least one more time because there's no way that these right side tires will go to the end. So, you know, we don't want to go to the back at this point. Okay, Butch. Well, we'll be watching all the best. You did a super job. Thank you.
Well, we know it's nothing personal, but Butch Miller not at all disappointed to see the 72 car Junior Hanley on the sidelines. And speaking of on the sidelines, here is Steve Burgess. He has finally gotten out of his crash number 12 car and headed back to the pits. He had a good shot at winning it. And number 98, Jody Ridley. Well, Jody is now up into the 4th position. And Brock, how about we have a chat with him?
Let's see if I can raise him.
Jody, this is Brock Yates, Diamond P Sports. How you feeling out there? Well, we're just hanging on, Brock. Tires ain't staying with the moment. 36, so I get set up for the end, so we're just hanging in there right now. Go get him, man. You're looking great. We've been with him all day, and I know you'll keep picking your way through them. Okay, we're fixing to go back.
What a mind game this short track stock car racing is. Butch Miller, who did not stop, has inherited the lead, the 52 car, followed by Bobby Dotter, Kenny Wallace, a steady drive in that 3 car, Jody Ridley. We know where his mind is. We just heard from him. Jay Sauter in that 5th position.
Don't count out Harold Fair there, Steve. He is a little bit back right now, but there's still plenty of time left. Also, Scott Hansen, a real steady runner and a very good head. Also got an excellent pit crew to work with. So I think we're going to see the green. Yeah, Butch Miller leads them down as we go back to green. More racing here at Nashville.
And incredibly, some of the rambling wrecks, like Bobby Dotter's number 6 car, is still very competitive. Dotter in the 2nd position, just behind the 52 car of Butch Miller.
The 96 car of Ted Musgrave, that two-tone blue automobile, he is a lap down. The white car, the 3 car, though, Kenny Wallace, now being challenged by Jody Ridley. They are on the same lap.
Indeed they are, and we just saw a little piece of debris come off of Bobby Dotter's car. Apparently nothing substantial enough to bring out a yellow, but it is still kind of self-destructing as it goes around from the wind turbulence.
Well, Musgrave is right in there. Of course, he was in that first lap tangle. Now he kind of goes low and lets everybody by. But a very quick, very hard, very determined driver. Obviously would have been up among the leaders had he not been in that first lap crash. So Kenny Wallace slides on by Musgrave. Jody Ridley still trying to get by him now. So gives Kenny a little bit of an advantage as he moves up now to challenge Bobby Dotter for that 2nd spot.
Well, we're getting to the point in this race, even though there's a pit stop board 2 left for some drivers, that you can no longer say, I'm just going to sit back here and let the race come to me. You've got to go to it now.
Oh, absolutely. As Bobby Dotter now obviously sights Kenny Wallace in his rearview mirror and gets on the hammer a little bit harder. That automobile apparently is handling all right, even though most of the front right front bodywork is gone. There you see Butch Miller, though, starting to move out, establishing a pretty strong advantage here. So will Butch Miller be able to hold on for win number 2? Hang with us. We'll be right back.
We're back at Nashville Motor Raceway, and the action is every bit as intense as when we left. The 3 car, that is Kenny Wallace from the ASA. The yellow and blue car, that is number 1, Jay Sauter, also ASA. That's for 3rd position.
What a show. Jay Sauter's run with the leaders all day long, doing a super job. Kenny Wallace of the Wallace Racing family, needless to say, started back there in the 8th spot, but he is right up amongst them.
And right now, Big Daddy Don Garlitz has caught up with what has to be a very disappointed driver, the man who started on the pole. He's with Steve Burgess.
You okay? Okay. Boy, you were zinging around there. That thing was looking good. What in the world happened?
I don't know for sure whether it blew or cut a tire up in the corner there.
A piece of something cut the tire.
Yes. Just come into the corner and it didn't come out.
Oh my goodness.
Trying. I think we had this one won.
It was running so good.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody out there who could catch me unless something like this went wrong. It's our day, but that happens.
We're terribly sorry.
Thank you.
Well, we look forward to seeing that very unusual car and that very talented driver again in short track stock car competition.
Right now, speaking of talent, this man, the 52 driver, Butch Miller, is running away from Bobby Dowder. Bobby just not able to hang on to him at this particular point. Dowder could be handicapped slightly by that deteriorating body work that he's got, but I doubt it. I think Butch Miller just got the handle right now.
And here's the race for the 5th position, the brilliant Blue Thunderbird of Jody Ridley, much higher maybe than he ought to be. And that is the youngster Glenn Allen Jr. in the 66 green and white car. Again, the fight there is for the 5th position. Ridley is going to have to get on the gas. That car may be loose, Brock. Look how high it is.
Yeah, Jody seems to be having trouble just keeping that thing down in the groove. But Glenn Allen Jr. has moved by him now. Remember, you said earlier we saw Glenn Allen 2 or 3 years ago racing around Cincinnati, Ohio. His dad raced car. He started when he was just a teenager, but now he's starting to show some real maturity, riding up among the leaders. Look at that. Jody Ridley almost got loose again.
And Don Garlitz is in the pits of Glenn Allen Jr. with his crew chief, John Baskin. Don?
Glenn has got that thing clear up to 5th. That's the best spot you've been in all day.
Yeah, the car's going pretty good. We're kind of tight on tires right now, and we're borrowing tires from other teams that fell out, so we hope we get it going a little better. Good. Okay.
Well, what do you think, Brock? Maybe they thought they wouldn't go this far and need this many tires?
I don't know. Of course, the pace has been so quick here that everybody's been changing tires on every yellow, and you really start to eat them up.
Another driver out there concerned about his tires because he told Brock so on the radio is our leader, Butch Miller in the 52 car. He did not come in on the last yellow. He did not pit trying to extend his tire life. And right now, I wonder if he regrets that. Brock Yates is in Butch Miller's pit area to try and find out. Brock?
Here's where the action is right now. This is Butch Miller's crew, and they are working on a set of tires. They've got 4 of them here. They're going to try to decide. Obviously, they can only change 2. They've got one more stop. You heard Butch tell us that he is going to have to make a stop. They're going to check stagger here. They're measuring the tires, checking the compound, deciding which of the 4 they're going to, which 2 of the 4 they're going to make that change with. And this is probably going to decide whether or not Miller wins the race, because he's going to have to make a stop. Now, he's going to need a caution here, or else he's going to stop under green. But, of course, everybody else is going to stop under green as well. So we're going to see the race probably decided amongst these 4 tires that lie here in the Butch Miller pit.
Well, Bobby Dowder in the number 6 car, currently running second to third car in your picture. He knows that Butch Miller does not have ideal tires because he knows that Butch Miller did not pit the last time around. Don Garlitz is down in Dowder's pit area with his crew chief, Fred Rumpler, to try to find out exactly what's happening to that young man's game plan.
Can you catch him?
Well, right now we think we can. We're just taking the ride, trying to save the tires in case it goes green all the way. I think we have it covered, but you never know till the end, which is tough.
Okay, thank you guys. Now the battle for the 3rd spot, the number 1 car of Jay Sauter. You see him right there. That's the yellow and blue machine. Behind him is Kenny Wallace. That is again the fight for 3rd. Now Harold Barron, the 81 car, he's got to be a bit discouraged right now, Brock. He's trying to unlap himself, and it's tough.
Oh yeah, he fell back and was running with the leaders, then some pit stop problems, and he is a lap down. So we watch Sauter and Kenny Wallace, 2 of the youngsters in ASA competition, going at it here. And be interesting to see. Kenny Wallace has been doing real well so far. There's your leader, 52, Butch Miller, and right behind him, Bobby Dowder, who persistently just hangs on there. His crew chief just told Big Daddy that they look pretty good. They feel pretty good about it. This is the strongest Dowder's ever run here, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. And Butch Miller is defenseless, Brock. He just doesn't have enough tire under him to hold off Bobby Dowder, in my opinion, anyway. If he pushes the car any harder than he is, he'll push it right into the wall.
Oh, no question. So you're going to see a lot of, I think that 52 car is going to get awful wide unless he just lets Dowder by. Dowder goes by into the lead. Bobby Dowder leads here at Nashville, and look at that automobile break out as they go down the front straightaway. Those guys are really happy on the Dowder team.
Oh, absolutely. Butch Miller, whether or not you could call that a mistake not putting the last time around, I don't know for sure. But we do know Butch Miller right now wishes that Baby had new shoes on all 4 corners. When he goes in, the best he can do is put tires on the right side. That's what the rules say, only 2 tires per stop, whether the stop being made under green or under yellow. Let's again check in with Don Garlitz and Fred Rumpler, Dowder's crew chief.
Well, you're looking better all the time.
Well, we just kept running our pace. Now, I don't know if Butch ran out of tires and just decided to take it a little easier than we were, but so far it's looking good. Car's running nice and smooth, on a good, easy pace. I hope he can stay till the end.
Well, Fred knows why they were able to take the lead, and it's because Butch Miller just doesn't have a lot of tire. So right now, the man in that number 6 car, or half a car, as the case may be, is hoping there is no yellow to help Butch.
Well, Butch continues to fall back, Steve. There's your leader, Bobby Dowder. In between him, Ted Musgrave in the two-tone blue car. He's a couple of laps down. But Dowder hoping for his biggest victory ever.
Raceway, the man in that 52 car, Butch Miller, would give his kingdom for a pair of tires on the right-hand side of that automobile. So he could try to catch Bobby Dowder, who's leading it, and hold off Kenny Wallace in the number 3 car, running third, followed by the amazing Glenn Allen Jr. and Jody Ridley. Ridley has got to make his move pretty soon if he's to win the TNN All-American 400.
Right now, though, what Butch Miller'd settle for, Steve, would be a yellow flag. He needs to get into the pits, and as you said, change those right side tires, because it's one crippled race car, that 52 right now. He might as well be running on snow tires out there. That thing is just bogging down in the corners, and Kenny Wallace may very well run him down.
And here is the race for the 6th position. That is Jay Sauter in the yellow and blue car, and Harold Fair in the 81 car. Again, that is for 6th position, Fair and Sauter. Bear in mind now, they are both a lap down in that 6th position, 6 and 7, but they're making tremendous progress right now on the leaders. There's a potential for them to unlap themselves.
Especially Harold Fair is driving really hard. Sauter's showing surprising strength as well. Both these guys have done a good job all day long, but bad luck in the pits and some poor choices on stops, and that's what will happen to you in a long race like this.
Oh, absolutely. Oh! Butch Miller has spun and maybe hit the wall. He just ran out of rubber, Brock.
Boy, I don't know. Is he underway again? It doesn't look like he's got any bodywork damage on the back. Apparently, he just put it up against the fence and has gotten back underway. But obviously, the tires are in terrible shape. What happens now is we're under caution, I think. Yeah, the yellow flag is out, Steve. I don't know whether Butch brought it out or what. Here comes Dowder. He is our current leader. He is probably going to try to make a stop, although he tucks in behind the pace car. So I don't know whether Butch Miller brought out his own yellow flag, which will permit him to stop.
Well, that is just amazing. Here, that was the crew of Bobby Dowder. Here is the crew in the red shirts of Butch Miller. That's an amazing scenario you just mentioned. I mean, I can't imagine a guy would spin to bring out his own yellow. If he did, it's a first as far as I know anyway. Butch Miller ducks in, and there's Bobby Dowder.
Oh, so both the leaders come into the pits. Let's see what Dowder takes on. Oh, right side tires for sure. There goes that hand jack. Here comes Butch Miller. I'm sure he'll take on right sides as well. Remember now, Steve, they only get 2 tires. They cannot take on all 4. I'm sure Butch would like to have all 4 right now. Here's Dowder. Good, quick stop by his crew.
You know, Butch Miller, I mean, he wasn't lazy about it, but he didn't even come into the pits very hot. Maybe just being careful here. But I tell you, this is not a particularly good stop for 52. There is Glenn Allen Jr. going back out, and there is Butch Miller. His pit work today has been a little disappointing.
Yeah, not as quick as this crew normally gets done with, and I'm sure that crew is a little disappointed at this point. But at least they got the yellow they wanted, and it may have been their man who brought it out. What I don't understand is there may be some debris on the racetrack, or the ASA officials are checking, but let's go down now to Big Daddy Don Garland's.
Put some fresh tires on there. That they're going to help you get through. Will that take it to the end?
Well, it's hard to say. If we got the right set on there, it'll definitely take us to the end. That set was a perfect set. The car was running nice and smooth. We shouldn't have to stop. If there is another yellow late and there's a few cars giving us pressure, we're going to have to put right sides on again. No doubt about it.
Well, there you go. There's the word from Fred Repler. He says to Big Daddy, we may have to stop one more time. So the plot thickens here, Steve.
Well, he said, if we get pressure, what do you think is going to happen with Kenny Wallace, Glenn Allen Jr., and especially now with Butch Miller and Jody Ridley on new rubber? You can count on pressure.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was amazing. Butch Miller was rapidly advancing to the rear there, and suddenly the yellow comes out, and he gets a fresh chance to go after the leaders. And you know, if 52 is hooked up, it's as quick as there is on the racetrack. That's one good race car with one good driver. So Bobby Dowder with kind of a crippled automobile. We're going to get ready for a restart here.
And Harold Fair, who's running third in that pack a lap down, has a great chance to unlap himself. He has got one of them, and in front of him is the leader. If Harold Fair can get in front of Bobby Dowder in that number 6 car, maybe catch another yellow, circle around to the back. I tell you, he's not out of this thing yet.
Well, that's what makes short track racing so exciting. And there's a lady that's excited. That's Bobby Dowder's mom. And she says, come on, Bobby, stick it in there. Stay ahead of Harold and all the rest of those guys that are right all over his bumper.
Oh, yeah, and here's 3 that want to gather him up. Kenny Wallace in the 6 car. Glenn Allen Jr., 66, 52, Butch Miller, 3 ASA stars, all battling for that 3rd position.
There's Kenny coming off turn number 4. Bobby Dowder now still has moved out a little bit on Harold Fair, but look at Glenn Allen go low on Kenny Wallace trying to move up there. But right now, I would say Glenn better take a look in his rearview mirror because number 52, Butch Miller, is all over him as Kenny stays high and appears like Butch is going to try to follow him through and get around Glenn Allen Jr. as they head down into turn number 1. And off turn 2, Allen stays low. Pretty aggressive move there by the youngster. He's not going to let Butch Miller by.
Absolutely, he's not going to make it easy for him. He shouldn't. And look at Miller. He doesn't care if it's easy or not. He's going to execute the pass and now tangle with the 3 car driven by Kenny Wallace. What tremendous short track racing. Unbelievable.
Well, look at this, Steve. Butch Miller down the back straightaway. He's got the inside on Kenny Wallace. Will he be able to make it work? Down low, Butch Miller. The battle for 2nd place here. Down the front straightaway. Kenny had a brief spurt of speed, but look, Butch Miller has now moved into 2nd place.
And Butch Miller's tire management in the pits has obviously been superb because they've got a set of tires that are now in a chassis setup where he can run just about anywhere on this racetrack.
So that last caution was critical, not only for Butch Miller, but for this man, Harold Fair, 81. It gave him a chance to move into a position right now to unlap himself. So he is now just past Bobby Dowder, the leader, and is on the lead lap. So he's back in it as well.
Oh, Harold Fair just never got down on himself, never started to believe that he couldn't win this thing, and it's all paying off for him. Now, don't you know that Harold Fair would just like to see a little bit? Oh, he's going to get it! Harold Fair is going to get the caution he needs.
Jay Sauter is in the fence. It looks like exactly the same kind of right front tire failure that took out Seneca and Burgess. Apparently uninjured. There he is getting out of the car. Certainly disappointed. He ran to the leaders all day long. But what happens? He brings out a yellow, which is going to increase the suspense as we head toward the end here in Nashville.
While we took a break, virtually this entire field, certainly all of the contenders, were in and out of the pits. Everybody's got new rubber on the right side, and what a duke out this is going to be. Bobby Dowder in the 6 car trying to hold off Jody Ridley, Glenn Allen Jr., Butch Miller, Kenny Wallace, and of course Harold Fair, who has now unlapped himself and has moved up into that 6th position. Also, Scott Hansen has unlapped himself to get into 7th. Brock, see if you can raise Harold Fair. What a story he is.
Right, here we go.
Harold Fair, this is Brock Kate, Diamond T Sport. How you doing, Brock? Well, we're doing good. I think the question is how you're doing. I've been watching you, but it's been kind of a hard afternoon.
I don't think I've worked this hard in a long time, Brock. It was my fault. I made a call earlier, told the guys not to change tires when the leaders did, and we had some long green, and we lost a lap, and we've been fighting it ever since, Brock.
I know. We watched you do that, and it's just a gamble you got to make in this kind of a long-distance race. Some days it bites you, and some days you get lucky, but that was a terrible long green. Everybody was starting to ache at the end of it.
Yeah, I just hope that maybe we can bite it back a little here. We got a little time left.
We'll be cheering for you. Good luck, Harold.
Thank you, Brock.
Buckle up, everybody. This is going to be some kind of a finish with 12 laps left. Jody Ridley tucks right in behind Bobby Dowder. All of the crews cheering him on. There's the Ridley bunts in. Go, Jody, go. I tell you, he has driven his race all day, Brock. This is exactly where he intended to be at this point in time.
No question, Jody Ridley, a very crafty race. Fell back for a while, but now he's moved up. He's got the lead for a moment anyway, as they come off turn number 4. Jody Ridley has taken the lead. Fantastic, fell way back for a while. Great pit work by these bunch of guys from Chatsworth, Georgia, have put him back in the front.
Absolutely. He has done a tremendous job. Bobby Donner as well. Well, all of these guys who are on the lead lap have done a tremendous job in what has been a race with not all that many yellow flags.
Well, let's not forget that man back there in third spot, Butch Miller, and right behind him, Harold Fair. So you got 4 hard, experienced runners right on the lead lap, just chasing each other down. And look at Jody Ridley pull out about a 2-car length lead here. So Jody Ridley right now is showing real strength. Bobby Dowder with that beat-up automobile still in second. Butch Miller in third.
And his crew continues to root him on. At this point in the race, you don't let anybody go by you thinking, well, I'll just pass him later, because that isn't going to happen. That's Bobby Dowder. Bobby Dowder is striking back on Ridley.
Coming back on the low side. Everybody in the place on their feet. We're only a few laps from the end of this show. Everybody cheering him on. Mom is going crazy down there. Bobby Dowder has got a nose on Jody Ridley down the back straightaway.
Oh, but the crew sees Ridley strike back. That took a little of their enthusiasm away. Bobby Dowder on the inside. And look at Butch Miller in the 52 car. He's in third spot. Harold Fair right behind him. There again is Ridley's crew saying, Jody, win it for us, baby cakes. This is the most money we'd ever won in short track racing. But Dowder says no.
Dowder gets a little loose coming off turn number 2. Down into turn 3, side by side. 4 guys you can throw a blanket under him. Butch Miller tucked right up on Dowder's rear bumper. Jody Ridley side by side down into turn 1. Through turn 2. Ridley doesn't give an inch on the high side. Dowder's loose down the back straightaway.
And Miller follows right in behind Dowder. 1 blue Thunderbird trying to hold up a pack of General Motors automobiles.
Look at Harold Fair up alongside Butch Miller. 4 cars, looks like the pace lap. Look at these guys run down into turn number 1. Ridley now with almost a car length lead. Dowder back down low. Dowder slides, bumps up against Ridley down the back straightaway. They're into each other in the fence.
The leaders have taken each other out of this event, and also some innocent bystanders. I'll tell you, talk about competition. They got into it so hard that it proved to be a disaster for them.
Jody Ridley keeps going, gets underway. Not so with Bob Dowder. He is up against the fence, and we've got Harold Fair up against the fence as well.
There's the crew for Jody Ridley, anticipating that he'll be coming in. Well, Bobby Dowder may be coming in too, but he'll be on the hook, Brock.
Oh, yeah, he's finished for the day. No question about it. Helmet off, out of the car. He is, I'm sure, really just totally wired up and completely disappointed as his crew chief, there he is, stunned by the sudden turn of events here, because the 2 leaders down into turn number 3, side by side. We saw Dowder get a little loose. Here comes Jody Ridley into the pits. It looks like the race car's in pretty good shape. He may have flat spotted a tire, Steve, but overall the race car doesn't seem that bad up. But they are going to make a stop to inspect and probably tear away some of that bodywork on the left front. Yeah, that's what's going to tear down a tire unless they get that fixed.
Oh, the emotions of this event, the ebb and the flow, especially here in the last half a dozen laps, unbelievable. They are changing a left tire. Possibly noticed that it maybe got cut on a little debris. They look at the right ones that haven't been on there all that long.
Oh, look at this. The left rear corner of that car is hurt pretty badly. Apparently no suspension damage. Jody back out underway. Let's take one more look at what happened here just a few laps from the end of this long race. There's Dowder getting loose coming off turn number 2, Steve. You can see him look like he accidentally just starts to shove Jody up against the outside fence. I don't think that was intentional. That car's been loose for quite a while.
And now Ridley pushes back to try to get back down on the low side of the racetrack, and he takes Dowder with him. And as we see here, as they spin, it is Dowder who, in fact, he did collect Harold Fair.
He did. But watch Miller slide by on the outside. Kenny Wallace in the middle of it as well in the white number 3 car. So the leaders all get collected except for Butch Miller, who stays on the low side. So we've got a caution, and amazingly, this man, who apparently brought out his own yellow flag, or at least appeared to be very fortunate, is now in the lead. Bobby Dowder back into the pits. He's out for the day. A major change of events here at Nashville.
400 before a stunned crowd and some stunned commentators, right, Brock?
Oh, absolutely. Short track action at its best when Donner and Jody Ridley got into it going down into turn number 3. Just a classic piece of action where two guys fighting for the same piece of real estate. Not uncommon in this kind of competition, although you seldom ever see it happen in a race of this magnitude. There is your leader. Butch Miller, presumably, is going to be able to hold on here unless he has some kind of unforeseen difficulties, and anything can happen. So far it has today.
Now the middle car there is Rich Bickle. He is a lap down. The second place car is the third one you saw in your picture. That was Glenn Allen Jr. And this would be just about his best finish ever in a very brief short track stock car career. If Butch Miller can complete this, the final lap, he will become the first driver ever to win the TNN All-American 400 back-to-back. And what a tribute that would be to some magnificent driving. The crowd's up, the checker's out. Butch Miller has won one incredible short track race. Just unbelievable. While we were away in our last commercial break, Brock Yates had a chance to talk to a very disappointed Harold Fair.
Well, as Harold Fair gets some good wishes from his family and his friends, we want to add our condolences, Harold. It was a super drive, and he just got hooked up in that traffic up there.
Yeah, we finally got the car ironed out the right way and ready to go, and we really thought we had it in the bag. And I don't know why Jody didn't get out of Bobby's way, but he come down on them. They got together, and I thought they were going to the infield, so I went to the outside. And one of them come back up and tag me.
That's a gamble you always take, isn't it, in a situation like that? Butch got through, and I just talked to him on the radio, said it was sheer luck that he made it, and then, you know, you take a choice, and I guess that's what this sport's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I really thought we had one. The guys didn't give up in here all day. The motor was working super. The car finally got together. I really thought we had a chance. The Pontiac was really flying today.
Well, we're sure proud of the way you drove all afternoon, and we're sorry it ended like this. But again, a great job and a great sportsman, Harold.
Thanks, Brock.
I couldn't agree more. So Butch Miller has won a race that started with a huge crash and finished with a huge crash. Glenn Allen Jr., the youngster, finishes a strong second. What a tribute to his maturing talents. Right now, let's go to Brock, who is with the winner.
Talk about snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, as they say. Butch Miller kind of catching a breath here, and unbelievable drive. His crew chief unhooks that radio that he worked so well with us this afternoon. Not only a great race driver, great announcer as well. Gonna have a sip of water. Butch, we'll let you just sit in there for a second. Unbelievable finish here. And first of all, congratulations on becoming only the second man ever to win this race over its long history. So, hard day, though.
Oh, it was a tough day. You know, and I always say that I like driving race cars because it's the best seat in the house, you know, but I'm not sure I wanted a seat that good at that point in time.
Well, you told me on the radio that you just kind of shut your eyes and slipped through, but I got to know you're too good a driver. You must have chosen that low line. I know Harold went high, and he got collected in the mess, but you got down low, I guess.
Well, you know, I was destined to be a fourth or fifth place car at that point in time, and, you know, and that was the best I could hope for. And all of a sudden, lucky me, I was out in front.
Well, it was a great afternoon. We watched your crew, and they agonized over the tire changes and all the selection problems that you had, and you told me that you had troubles, and that was it.
Well, yeah, like I say, you know, the car just was not quite up to snuff, but it wasn't bad.
Great work. Congratulations. Butch Miller wins it for the second time, the TNN All-American 400.
What a wild afternoon. For Don Garlitz and Brock Yates, I'm Steve Evans saying so long from Nashville, Tennessee.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John V. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team. The nation's premier source of fast lane fashions, Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life. And by this special offer from Diamond P.
Just incredible. You know, for 6 award-winning seasons on American Sports Cavalcade, we've shared the excitement as fearless competitors pushed too far. Yet, miraculously, we've watched them walk away. Diamond P has now captured all this excitement on a spectacular new home video called And They Walked Away. The mayhem of motocross, the tumbles of sprint cars, the spins of stock cars, 60 minutes of breathtaking footage. For your copy, call 1-800-453-9300 or send a check or money order to this address. Just $24.95 plus $3.50 shipping and handling. Visa and MasterCard accepted. Call 1-800-453-9300 now.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.